Hello students, nice to meet you again in our biology program. Today we are going to make a general revision. Please concentrate with me. Let's start. Choose the correct answer for each of the following. First, after fertilization, the leaflets of the corolla may remain in space fruit. Eggplant, dates, pomegranate, marrow. Yes, the answer is going to be after fertilization, the leaflets of the corolla may remain in marrow fruit. Next, upper end of the wrist skeleton is attached to the space. Upper end of the radius, lower end of the radius, lower end of the ulna, bones of the palm. You are right. Upper end of the wrist skeleton is attached to lower end of the radius. Development of the nervous system of human embryo begins at space of pregnancy. Once again, development of the nervous system of the human embryo begins at space of pregnancy. First week, first month, 6th week, or 12th week. Of course, the answer is going to be development of the nervous system of human embryo begins at first month of pregnancy. The space line of defense works if pathogens succeeded in penetrating body tissues. Second, first, third, all the above. That's right. The second line defense works if pathogens succeeded in penetrating body tissues. All cells of lymphocytes are formed in space: bone marrow, thymus gland, the spleen, Peyer's patches. You are right. All cells of lymphocytes are formed in bone marrow. Another item of question: how can you treat the following cases? First, highness of glucose rate in the blood. Of course, highness of glucose rate in the blood, we treat it by injection with insulin. Next, decrease in the thyroxine secretion in the childhood. That happens by regular consultation of specialist, administration of thyroxine or gland extract. Once again, regular consultation of specialist or administration of thyroxine or gland extract. Next, write a brief note about the structure support in the plant. The structure support, the plant has many methods for the structure support, such as deposition of substances on or in the cell walls. The external plant cells cannot prevent loss of water from the inner cells, and so the epidermal walls become thick and impermeable due to cutin being deposited. The plant may be surrounded with impermeable cork layer containing suberin, cellulose, or lignin, may be deposited in the cell walls or in some of its parts. So these cells become stronger, such as collenchyma cells and sclerenchyma cells, fibers and stone cells. I am going to say this answer again, and please concentrate with me. The structure support, the plant has many methods for the structure support, such as the deposition of substances on or in the cell walls. The external plant cells cannot prevent loss of water from the inner cells, and so the epidermal walls become thick and impermeable due to cutin began deposited. The plant may be surrounded with impermeable cork layer containing suberin, cellulose, or lignin may be deposited in cell walls or in some of its parts, so these cells become stronger, such as collenchyma cells and sclerenchyma cells, I mean fibers and stone cells. Let's move to another item of questions. Write the scientific term for each of the following. It's an immediate response of the body tissues injured by a foreign body. Good. It is an immediate response, so it is inflammation. Immediate response of body tissues injured by a foreign body, it's called inflammation. Next. A type of asexual reproduction helps in propagating rare plants with desired strains. Yes, you are right. It's called tissue culture. Next, the circular DNA molecule exists in the prokaryotes. Of course, you know the circular DNA molecule exists in the prokaryotes is plasmids. A thin bone attached to the scapula bone, you are know it's clavicle. A structure belongs to the skeletal system usually present at the tip of bones, especially at joints. You are right. It's called cartilages. Now, let's move to another item of question. Write the following statements after correcting the underlined words. Macrophage cells produce antibodies to destroy microbes. Of course, the answer is going to be B cells produce antibodies to destroy microbes. Next, myosin filaments formed the light bands in the structure of myofibril. Yes, actin filaments formed the light bands in the structure of myofibril. Cortisone stimulates the body to perform activities needed during emergency. Of course, adrenaline and noradrenaline stimulate the body to perform activities needed during emergency. The last one, thyroxine stimulates the ovary to form Graafian follicle. Of course, the answer is going to be FSH. FSH hormone stimulate the ovary to form Graafian follicle. What is the importance of each of the following? First, Graafian follicle. Graafian follicle. It secretes sterogen and contains the ovum. What is the importance of non-histone regulatory proteins? Of course, determine whether or not the DNA code used to make RNA, proteins, and enzymes. Corpus luteum. What is the function of corpus luteum? It secretes progesterone and sterogen. Next, cilia of fallopian tube. You are right. Act to direct the ovum towards the uterus. Mention the results of Franklin, which helped to know the structure of DNA molecule. The answer is going to be, there are 4 points, and please concentrate with me. First, DNA is twisted into a spiral or helix. The bases are perpendicular to the length of the fiber. The sugar phosphate backbone is on the outside of the helix with the bases on the inside. The diameter of the helix showed that DNA must be composed of more than one strand. I am going to say this answer again because it's very important. The Franklin efforts showed that DNA is twisted into a spiral or helix. The bases are perpendicular to the length of the fiber. The sugar phosphate backbone is on the outside of the helix with the bases on the inside. The diameter of the helix showed that DNA must be composed of more than one strand. Another item of questions. Explain each of the following. The coil is used to prevent pregnancy. Yes, it prevents the fertilized ovum to be implanted in the uterus. Deoxyribonuclease has an advantage in knowing that DNA is the genetic material. Yes, this enzyme hydrolyzes DNA completely, but it doesn't affect the protein or RNA. Twinning of the tendril around the support. Good, due to the slow growth of the side in contact with the support and accelerate growth of the side of the tendril away from the support. This leads to elongation the far side, and so the tendril twins around the support. I am going to say that again, and please concentrate with me. Twinning of the tendril around the support. Of course, this is due to the slow growth of the side in contact with the support and accelerate growth of the side of the tendril away from the support. This leads to elongation the far side, and so the tendril twins around the support. Next, gametes can be stored in special banks for several years. Again, gametes can be stored in special banks for several years. Yes, to keep them available for reproduction till the time of need. They can be used in artificial fertilization. Even after the death of the producer individuals, or if some rare animals species are liable to extinction. Again, explain gametes can be stored in special banks for several years to keep them available for reproduction till the time of need. They can be used in artificial fertilization even after the death of the producer individuals, or if some rare animal species are liable to extinction. Another item of question. If the sequence of the nitrogenous bases in a piece of one strand DNA molecule is 3' G, 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 C, 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 G, T, G, 5', write down the sequence of nitrogenous bases in the complementary piece of DNA for the above mentioned piece. Of course, the answer is going to be 5', C, 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 G, 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 C, A, C, 3'. If a mutation occurred and resulted in a change in one of the bases of above mentioned piece of DNA, what is the kind of this mutation and what is its effect? I am going to say this question again because it's a long question, and please concentrate. If a mutation occurred and resulted in a change in one of bases of above mentioned piece of DNA, what is the kind of this mutation? What its effect? Of course, it's the gene mutation. Its effect, the production of a different enzyme that would develop a new trait. Mention the site and function of each of the following. Human ovary. It's on one side of the pelvic cavity. I mean, there is an ovary at each side. So we have one ovary at each side of the pelvic cavity. Its function, production of ova, and secretion hormones for regulating menstrual cycle and embryo development. Next, the amnion. The site of amnion surrounds the embryo. Its function contains a fluid served to protect the embryo against shocks and dryness. What would happen in each of the following cases? The triple fusion does not occur inside the embryo sac of a flower. What do you think, my dear student, will happen if there is no triple fusion? Yes, endosperm nucleus will not form. Thus, endosperm tissue that supplies the early developing embryo with food will not form. Falling down of spores of the bread mold fungus on a piece of wet bread. Yes, spores absorb water and divide several times till they grow to new individuals. Occurrence of the mutation in somatic cells. Sudden symptoms appear in organ whose cells are mutated. Enlargement of the receptacle of a flower instead of its ovary. Yes, a false fruit will form. Putting of some dry fruits in water. Yes, they absorb water and enlarge in size and swells. Give reasons for each of the following. The regeneration in hydra differs from regeneration in crustaceans. Yes, because the regeneration in hydra is an asexual reproduction where it able to regenerate the lost parts of its body, and it's also to produce new individuals if it is cut into several transverse pieces, while regeneration in crustaceans is limited to a restoration of the cut parts only. I am going to say this answer again, and please concentrate with me. First, the regeneration in hydra differs from regeneration in crustaceans. This is because the regeneration in hydra is an asexual reproduction where it able to regenerate the lost parts of its body, and it also to produce new individuals if it is cut into several transverse pieces, while regeneration in crustaceans is limited to a restoration of the cut parts only. Next, pear patches are considered one of the human immune organs because they play a role in the immune response against pathogenic microorganisms that enter the intestine. The genome of the salamander equals 30 times of the human genome. Due to the existence of a large amount of DNA in salamander cells, it is a non-coding DNA. And it is non-coding DNA. Next, in some viruses, a high rate of genetic changes appear because the genetic material of some viruses exists in the form of a single-stranded RNA, which can't be repaired. What is the difference between each pair of the following? The nucleosome and the nucleotide in terms of structure. Nucleotide, it's made up of deoxyribose sugar, phosphate group, and a nitrogenous base, while nucleosome, it's a string of DNA is wounded around clusters of histones. I'm going to say this comparison again, and please concentrate with me. Nucleotide, it's made up of deoxyribose sugar, phosphate group and in nitrogenous base. The nucleosome, it's a string of DNA, is wound around clusters of histone. Next, seed and the grain. I want the difference between seed and the grain. Of course, grain is endospermic and the integuments of the ovary and the ovule fuse together, forming a single seeded fruit. Again, the grain is endospermic, keep endosperm. The integuments of the ovary and ovule fuse together, forming a single seeded fruit. But the seed is ex-endospermic seed. The integuments of the ovule harden, forming the seed testa. I am going to say this answer again. The grain is endospermic and the integuments of the ovary and ovule fuse together, forming single seeded fruit. But the seed is ex-endospermic and the integuments of the ovule harden, forming seed testa. The last comparison is the last difference between multiplication phase and the maturation phase of spermatogenesis. The answer is going to be in maturation phase, in which the primary spermatogenesis 2N undergo meiosis to give the secondary spermatocyte N, which undergo meiosis 2 to give the spermatids N. But in multiplication phase, in which the primary germ cells 2N divide mitotically several times to produce spermatogonia cells, which is 2N. I am going to say this comparison again, and please concentrate with me. Maturation phase and the multiplication phase. Multiplication, in which primary spermatocyte 2N undergo meiosis 1, meiosis first, to give the secondary spermatocytes N, which undergo meiosis 2 to give the spermatids N. But in multiplication, in which primary germ cells 2N divide mitotically several times to produce spermatogonia cells, which is 2N. The last item of question: what would happen in each of the following? First, hyposecretion of growth hormone during childhood. Yes, infection with dwarfism. Infection of adrenal cortex with tumor. Good, atrophy of gonads in both sex. Atrophy of gonads in both sex. Give reasons for each of the following. First, spirogyra need to meiosis after formation of zygote during conjugation. Spirogyra need to meiosis after formation of zygote during conjugation. Good. In order to reduce the number of chromosomes in the zygote of the resulted cells from 2N number to N to be similar to original cells, which is haploid number, N number of chromosome. I'm going to say that again because it's long answer, and please concentrate with me. Spirogyra need to meiosis after formation of zygote during conjugation. You are right. In order to reduce the number of chromosomes in the zygote of the resulted cells from 2N number of chromosome to N number of chromosome to be similar to original cells, which is haploid number of chromosome, N number of chromosome. Next, the ovum is usually stationary. Why the ovum cannot move? Yes, because the ovum has not locomotory organ like sperm or like the male gamete. And in most animals, fertilization and embryonic development stages take place inside the body of mother. So the ovum must be stationary. Once again, the ovum is usually stationary. Why the ovum cannot move, stay in its place? As I said before, because the ovum has not locomotory organ, and in most animals, fertilization and embryonic development stages take place inside her body, I mean inside the body of mother. So the ovum must be stay in its place. Asexual reproduction save the time and energy. Asexual reproduction save the time and energy. Good. Asexual reproduction saves time and energy because it occurs by one parent only. I mean by one parental body. No male and no female. Another item of question. Put right in front of the right statement and wrong or incorrect in front of the wrong one. Then rewrite the statement after being corrected. First, Spirogyra reproduce sexually by conjugation, where protoplasm of cells fuse together to form zygote. Is that correct or incorrect? Let's think together. Good. Spirogyra reproduce sexually by conjugation, where the protoplasm of cells fuse together to form zygote. Yes, that's correct. Next, meiotic division occurs before conjugation in Spirogyra. Is that right or wrong? Of course, it's incorrect. Meiotic division occurs after conjugation in Spirogyra to return back its haploidy, because the real filament is n number of chromosome, I mean haploid number of chromosome. Thank you for good listening. Until we meet again, good luck and goodbye.